Are you ready then? Okay, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order the Plan Commission this evening. Today is Tuesday, May 28th, and the time is 7 p.m. I'll begin with the roll call. Go to my list so I don't mess up. Mayor Kim Smith, I am here. Mike Milkey,
Present.
Jared Holter,
Here.
Jan Brock, Tom Smith,
Present.
Eric Archer,
Here.
Bill Lethan is not here. Okay. Item number 2 is consideration and action on the previous meeting
I'll make a motion that we approve the meeting, the previous meeting minutes. I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Tom Smith, seconded by Eric Archer. I gotta learn where everyone's speaking. Is there any other discussion on that item? Okay, not seeing or hearing any. All those in favor of approving the minutes from our previous meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries unanimously. Item 3 is public input. This is the time where members of the public can address the Plan Commission. If you choose to do so, please begin by stating your name and your address, and please keep your comments to 3 minutes. Would anybody like to address the Plan Commission this evening? Can you step forward? Or we can bring you a mic if you're not able to, but so begin by stating your name and your address.
My name is John Van Ruden. My mother lives at 203 Heritage Lane. And I'm really here to talk about item number 5. So will there be public comment with that as well?
Yes, there will. There'll be a public
Always
hearing.
wait for that then.
Okay,
you.
sounds good. Is there anyone else that would like to address the Plan Commission this evening? Second call for public input. Third and final call for anyone wanting to make general public input this evening. Okay, public input is now closed and we'll move on to consideration and possible action on the following items. Item 4 is a public hearing for a comprehensive plan amendment to update Chapter 3, the housing element, and add Appendix D, 2022 to 2023 housing study to the 2015 comprehensive plan via resolution 18-2024. The applicant is the city of Unalaska. So I'll ask first if anyone would like to speak in favor of this comprehensive plan amendment. Second call for anyone wishing to speak in favor. Third and final call for anyone wishing to speak in favor of the amendment. That portion of the hearing is now closed, and I'll ask if anyone would like to speak against the comprehensive plan amendment. Second call for anyone wishing to speak against. Third and final call for anyone wishing to speak against the comprehensive plan amendment. Not seeing or hearing anyone, I will now declare the public hearing closed and ask our city planning manager, Katie Aspenson, to introduce this item to the Plan Commission this evening. Katie?
Thank you, Mayor. There is no change from last month where you previously saw the comprehensive plan amendment and the attachments. We were following an incorrect procedure for adopting the new amendment. So I have before you a resolution 18-2024 for the Plan Commission to recommend approval of the proposed amendments. Thank you.
Thank you. With that being said, what is the pleasure of the Plan Commission this evening?
I'll make a motion to approve the comprehensive plan amendment to update Chapter 3 housing element and add Appendix D 2022-2023 housing study to the 2015 comprehensive plan via resolution 18-2024 as outlined in agenda item 4.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor by Eric Archer. It's been seconded by Mike Milkey to make this comprehensive plan amendment via resolution 18-2024. Is there any discussion on this item? No? Okay, motion on the floor is to approve. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item 5 is a public hearing for an annexation petition to annex 2.18 acres from the town of Madera to the city of Onalaska. The property is located at N 4381 Theater Road. This is tax parcel ID number 9-107-0, and the applicant is Automotive Enterprises LLC. I'll now open the public hearing and ask if anyone would like to speak in favor of this annexation petition. Second call for anyone wishing to speak in favor of the annexation petition. Third and final call for anyone wishing to speak in favor of the annexation petition. That portion of the hearing is closed, and now we'll now open it up for anyone who would like to speak against the annexation petition for the property. If so, please step up to or we'll bring you the microphone. Begin by stating your name and your address, and you may have 3 minutes, sir.
Thank you. I will be sitting down because I have a disability that makes it likely if I
Nope.
stand there,
No problem.
you'll have to pick me up.
Yeah, no problem at all. We have a mic for you there.
My name is Wayne Van Cowenberg, and I want to first make something clear. I served as a federal lawyer for 30 years and went to seminary and have served as a minister for 15 after that. I am no longer licensed in any state. But I just want to make sure that nothing that I say is taken to be legal advice or legal opinion. I went to the planning office and was treated very well today, and I thank the planning office for that. I noticed something here with the map of this development. Goodwill exists. The auto parts store exists, but on this map, all of us who live here don't. Basically, from the estimates I got from the planning office is that I'm gonna end up in my backyard having a active metal shop within, what was it, 40 feet of my backyard. And basically, I'm gonna have noise from that business from 8 o'clock in the morning. Now, just to let you know what my condition is, I was very extensively damaged by Guillain-Barré syndrome. And I can't predict when I'm gonna sleep, and so my policy is I get the sleep I need no matter what, how late I have to get it, because I don't know if I'm gonna be up at 4 in the morning. That's the way I keep myself from dying. Heritage Estates is largely a group of people, many of them retirement age, especially on that side of the road that adjoins this. And basically, like all people who are either disabled or in retirement or in the years previous to retirement, the value of our homes is a big part of our financial security. And perhaps the way that we end up, many of us, paying for our paying for where we live in our final years. Right now, I don't know what impact this preliminary plan will have. Now, I've been given a copy of the municipal noise ordinance by the planning commission, but I'll tell you what, I would be, if I was licensed, I would be a novice in the area of real estate. My expertise was in weapons systems development for the Army. I served the Army for 30 years as an officer and as a civilian. But my experience as a resident is that once the thing's built, if there's a problem, you can't fix it. So right now is the time to consider this. And to tell you the truth, I'm a little displeased because what happened was notice of this came in between the time where our homeowners association would normally have quarterly meetings. And basically, we have this occurring, I'm sure it's all coincidence, right after a 3-day holiday. In other words, maximum problems with us getting facts together. So what I see is this. We have got a facility proposed And the planning office tells me we can't decouple the annexation from the rezoning. So I got to oppose the entire thing. We can't gather our information. And you guys have got meetings, I believe, scheduled. The planning commission is today. The admin judiciary, 6/5 at 5:30 PM, followed by the council on 6/11.
Sir, your 3 minutes is up. If you could just finalize your thought and then we'll continue.
The vital interests of all these residents is at stake, and we don't have information needed to know whether or not we need to hire a lawyer and contact the newspapers and the TV stations. You don't have that information either. So I propose that, and I have to oppose the entire thing. Vote it down, or we're gonna have a problem. Thank you.
Sir, could you please state your address? I don't believe you did that.
211 Heritage Lane, Onalaska.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Okay. Thank you for that. Okay, now I'm going to ask if anyone else would like to speak in opposition to the annexation petition for the property.
Yeah, hi, my name is John Von Ruden. I'm here on behalf of Marilyn Von Ruden. Marilyn lives at 203 Heritage Lane. Marilyn is my mother. She would have been here today, but she had her hip replaced last Wednesday, so she's recovering, and she sent me in her stead. So you have me instead. But I'm here to protect Mom's investment in her property and the quality of her life. There's 12 families that are directly impacted by the decision tonight. And like Wayne had said, you know, this decision as far as annexation and what goes there, I mean, you kind of tied them. So we really have no choice but to oppose what's in front of us. There's no doubt that property, that 2.8 acres or 2.14 acres is a buffer between that residential area, which is Heritage Lane, and that commercial development. I don't know if this was on purpose or if it happened by accident, but the AutoZone store up to the north, I mean, there was like 100-foot buffer there, and it's nice tree lined and everything. So that worked out real well for that side of the development. And down to the south, you know, that worked out pretty good too for those property owners, because it's 100 feet from where the curb and gutter is to the property line, and it's 350 feet from the property line to their building. So, and there's some buffer there too. So in both instances, whether it be luck or planning, it worked out pretty good for the adjacent properties. Not for the rest of the properties though. They're going to be 40 feet away from that building to the property line. And right now the plan shows a fence there or landscaping, and that's going to be a critical element on how those properties are impacted. And so I hope there's a lot of discussion about that. I mean, to me, what there's proposing to put in there is probably the worst case scenario for those our properties. I mean, I don't know if anybody could tell me if there's another auto body a business right next to a residential area in the city of Onalaska. I mean, it's just not a great location. When I saw what they wanted to put in there in the building, it was you know, I wasn't too excited about that. But some questions that we would like addressed is, you know, what is the effect of the noise going to be on the property? What is the visual impact of the proposed site going to be? What is the lighting at night going to be? Like Wayne said, a lot of the retired folks live along there. You know, what impact are they going to have, you know, on their property? And I don't know if anybody can tell us, is it going to have a direct impact on the property value from what they have today, which is almost like a park-like setting right behind their places, to a commercial building 40 feet from the property line. With that, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Would anybody else like to speak against the annexation petition?
My name is Ken Brecky, reside at 119 Heritage Lane. I agree with what you've heard so far. There are so darn many questions that haven't been answered and maybe haven't even been asked with this project. We have lots of concerns, many of them been brought up. We already have drainage issues in our association. What will this do to where the water goes? We don't know that. Nobody's suggested that there's a solution there, but I'm hoping. There's all kinds of big trees, shrubs, brush. Are they all going away? We just have a lot of concerns. And we just need a lot more answers before we can favor this project. I don't think we're necessarily opposed, but at this point we are. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Would anyone else like to speak in opposition to the annexation petition? Welcome.
Hi, Diane Wright, 126 Heritage Lane. I share many of the concerns already addressed. And also just would like to comment as far as when the dealership went in, there was a greater space between that property and the condominium property, yet this is much, much closer. At that time, the way I understood it for the south end, there was supposed to be an opaque barrier between the dealership property and the condominium property. I don't consider what's there to be opaque. And I don't know who's responsible for following up on something like that once a development or a building or whatever may go in there. How is that handled? How is that addressed and policed as far as it's held to the plan? So if something's 40 feet away, I don't know what's going to be, it concerns me what's going to be done compared to what was done when the dealership property went in and they didn't hold to what I thought was in the plan to be an opaque barrier. It's quite open down on that end. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
I'm Sue Brackey and I live at 119 Heritage Lane. And yes, when we moved there, there weren't hardly any businesses in there. And it was a nice, quiet place. Our neighbors are 90 years old and we are in our 70s. There's quite a few couples that are elderly and we're looking for a nice, carefree place to live in our retirement. And now I am concerned about the noise and how close the building is going to be. And we used to have Rockwood Gardens there. So that was really a nice backyard. This is going to be such a change that I'm really disheartened to think about a building being that close to us and one that will be probably very noisy. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak in opposition? Welcome.
My name is Elaine Jurgens and I live at 201 Heritage. And I've only lived there a matter of months, less than a year. Had no information about any of this happening. Was very happy there. Now I see there are 4 units on for sale on our short street. And I'm sure this is going to have a definite impact on our real estate values and our nice, quiet community. And I'd like that to be considered. Otherwise, I just second everything that everybody said. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak in opposition? Second call for anyone wishing to speak in opposition to the annexation petition. Third and final call for anyone wishing to speak against the petition. That part of the public hearing is now closed, and I'll ask our planning manager to introduce this item to the Plan Commission.
1 second, my PDF just shut down. So can you just? 1 minute.
Go ahead when you're ready, Katie.
I'm ready. Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah.
Before you this evening is an annexation petition application to annex 2.18 acres from the town of Madera to the city of Onalaska. The applicant is Automotive Enterprises LLC. We've been informed by the property owner that it is the intention to construct Abra Auto at this location. The proposed zoning is the regional business district. The neighborhood characteristics include a combination of commercial, single-family residential, multifamily residential, as well as condominium development. Our comprehensive plan outlines this particular parcel as future commercial, which is intended to accommodate large and small scale commercial office development, including a wide range of retail, service, lodging, and office uses. The applicant is intending to annex a single parcel and merge it with the driveway that is currently within the city of Onalaska, and that is also currently zoned B3. The city of Onalaska, within it, directly adjacent to the north, west, east, and south of the parcel, and access to it would be obtained from Theater Road. The zoning district to the north, to the east, and to the south of this property is all B3. So the requested B3 zoning designation being asked is consistent both with our comprehensive plan and also with zoning for a mutual appreciation of how that paintbrush, so to say, goes from one parcel to the next, where they're all consistent with each other. The city should approve proposals for annexation into the Onalaska only where meeting the following utilities and community facilities criteria. The area proposed for annexation has access to or can be easily connected to areas already served by the city, allowing efficient delivery of services, facilities, and utilities, and that the increased tax base and overall benefit of the city approving this outweigh the actual financial impact of the community for providing police, fire, road maintenance, and other public improvements. As a public hearing would be held, Plan Commission should consider that prior to acting on the requested annexation petition. City staff have put together 8 conditions of approval. I would like to note condition number 5, which specifically calls out that any future improvements to these parcels will be subject to additional city permits, specifically site plan approval. If the Plan Commission and Common Council ultimately approve the annexation of this parcel and the zoning district, the next step would be for the applicant to pursue a site plan permit, and that is reviewed by city staff only, and city staff are responsible for ensuring that all aspects of the code are followed. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. With that being said, I'll turn this matter over to the Plan Commission this evening. Make a motion to put it on the floor for discussion.
All right, I'll make a motion to put on the floor the annexation petition for annex 2.18 acres from the town of Madera to the city of Onalaska, located at N4381 Theta Road, tax parcel number 9-107-0.
Okay, so go ahead, Katie.
Does that include the conditions of approval?
Do you want me to restate it? Yes, that does include the, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so is your motion to approve? Usually, and then we
Approve, and then I'd like to talk, yeah.
debate it. Okay. So can you just restate the motion for clarity?
All right, I'd like to make a motion to approve the annexation petition from, to annex 2.18 acres from the town of Madera to the city of Onalaska, located at N4381 Theta Road, with the conditions of approval.
Okay, we have a motion by Mike Milky to approve with the 8 conditions. Is there a second?
I'll second for discussion.
Okay, it's been seconded by Jared. Discussion.
One thing I was wondering in this is as far as we've heard a lot about the noise. I know that there's obviously ordinances in place for the noise, but do we know anything about the levels of decibels or anything that would be coming from an operation like this?
That information has not been provided by the property owner. They will be subject to the city's noise ordinance. So if there's a concern that they are violating it, our non-emergency police number would be called and a police officer would go out to the property line and measure that noise. And based on what time it is, it would either be in violation or compliance.
Okay, Tom?
Yeah, too many unanswered questions for me to support this motion at this time. Has the property owners met with any of these people, or is, in the past, we've had these kind of things where there's a lot of questions and one of the suggestions I would have is, have the property owners met to kind of go over these kind of questions with these residents to at least make them understand what the proposal has been? Do you know or aware of it?
Based on the feedback I've heard this evening, I do not believe that occurred.
Okay. To me, I just cannot support this motion at this time because there's just too many unanswered questions. And if I was in their shoes, I would feel that there's just a lot of questions that need to be answered before I could support it. So that's my thought.
Katie, can you describe the normal process when we're considering an annexation, like the steps that it goes through normally?
Of course. So a property owner puts forth an annexation map with the proper legal description. They pay the state fee to have it reviewed and also a fee to the city. I believe city clerk notifies the town of question that we have received an annexation petition. The state completes the review, which we have not yet received. We typically don't until the end of the process. And then we hold a public hearing. We notify all property owners within 250 feet of the received annexation date. We post notices in the newspaper, notifying the public that way in addition to the letters. And as part of our annexation petition process, we also allow the property owner to select a zoning district that they would like to have, and they work with myself to make sure that it is consistent with our comprehensive plan and our zoning ordinance. We also are made aware of typically what use it is that they would like to do. So we want to make sure that the use is consistent with the zoning district that they are requesting. In this case, the use is a permitted use within that district. We always ask that they provide us with a site plan, at least a conceptual one, which has been done and is included in the packet, so that neighbors and interested persons can come in and view that and ask questions. If approved and moved forward, our administrative and judiciary committee would consider the ordinance, and then it would ultimately go to the common council for final consideration. The entire process takes approximately a month and a half to 2 months, start to finish.
Thank you for that, Katie. Jan?
Just quickly, I agree with Tom. I think the developer, property owner needs to speak with with these residents, but they address the issue of noise, which was you amply explained, and also lighting and berm. Could you just maybe in a sentence summarize, those are code things that we have, so thank you.
Correct. So in addition to noise, the applicant will be required to meet all aspects of our Unified Development Code. So any lighting will have to be downcasted and shielded. So it can't just be a bright light shining off and creating ambient light. We do have, I believe it's 1 foot candle at the property line is the brightest that it can be. They are required to have a certain amount of trees and landscaping and shrubbery based on their frontage of the property, as well as the amount of pavement that they have to do, included in parking lot parking lot landscaping, islands, and around the facility. Related to, they will not, are not going to be required to put in a berm. As part of this, they will have to do, because they are directly adjacent to a property, residential property, they'll have to either put up a wall or they can do specified landscaping where They plant so many feet and it has to be at least 10 feet deep. So I believe from our conversations, they were looking at doing a fence as their screening option, which is allowed via the code. Any other questions?
Okay, Mike?
Okay, just a few from me to help frame. So the area is zoned commercial. So this isn't a one-time decision that would come up potentially again in the future.
So the area, I don't offhand know what it is in the town because it's subject to town zoning currently off the top of my head, but I can tell you that the request to do the B3 district, it would be to stay the B3 district. Our comprehensive plan, when we looked into the future, if this land was ever annexed into the city specified this be a commercial business. So the incoming business and the zoning match what the comprehensive plan requested, so to say, about 10 years ago.
Okay, thank you. Reminding myself, so the Plan Commission primarily responsibility is to apply codes and regulations as they exist and not so much whether the rules or the regulations themselves are fair or unfair. That's a common council decision. Is that right?
So the Plan Commission is to review the application before you. To note, they are not required to provide a full-blown site plan with the landscaping and all the details for it. We always recommend that they put their most information that they have for the Plan Commission, but ultimately, Plan Commission is looking at the consistency with the comprehensive plan, looking at the request being made by the applicant, what the zoning is, what the use is, and how it compares to it, and whether or not you think it's a suitable development.
Yeah, thank you. So I guess so in the background, it says the city should approve proposals, and by the city, do you mean the Common Council, or this Plan Commission should make our recommendation based on that background?
Yes. And then the Common Council will make a recommendation and a final decision based on the feedback by the Plan Commission.
Thank you for walking that through me a little bit. So I understand the concerns. I was an Army officer for 21 years. So I understand the concerns about everything being mentioned. Absolutely. For me, it might be more helpful to frame that though, in terms of the rules that are in front of us. And what speaks out to me is that the comprehensive plan also states that decisions on annexation should also address criteria standards of economic impacts, social impacts, and environmental impacts. So just for me in my role here, I'm going to steer away from me, I think, from some of those concerns. While entirely valid, I think maybe are not as important for what I have in front of me, which is a rule and a regulation that guides a process. Because that's very subjective, important, but very subjective. So my objective concern would be is I'm not sure we've met, and I think this is kind of restating what Tom and Jan said, but I don't see anything in front of me and I'm not opposed, but that would speak to anything regarding economic impacts, social impacts, and environmental impacts. And I would also have probably concerns about that access, which is the second criteria. So those are, I guess, my thoughts. And I just had some questions to make sure I arrived at that fairly.
Thank you for that. Jared?
Okay, so for starters, we're from a zoning perspective in my time here, we're in a spot that it's surrounded on three sides by B3, which is regional business. And we've got residential that's fairly close to the property line on the other side. So we're in a tough location here. With this, I think just going back to a little bit of the items as far as socioeconomic things like that, the city utilities are available. The access point was put in when Theater Road was put in. I think those are all good for this site. It comes down to I don't disagree that the B3 zoning should be there because that's on all three sides of it. So how do we zone it something different than that? I do think, and Katie, this is from memory here, but like when AutoZone came in and some of that, I don't have the conditions memorized. And when Dow came in on the south end, I think there were conditions about on our approval for landscaping and berms and things such as that in the conditions for those. I know, in the past, we have done items to, ensure that we are mitigating things as best as we can, but try to
spur the development of the property also. In this fact, we've got a parcel that's in the township that could be developed in the township into something, and I'd be ashamed to have that happen because right now we've got the water and sewer there. The stormwater goes down along the east property line. There's a pipe that's sized for this property. All of those things would be are advantageous for this site, but I do hear the concerns of the residents next door, and I don't know I know we've got the site plan approval process, but I think we would need something in the conditions of the annexation and zoning to better outline what will be done in that area before we approve it. That's my opinion.
Thank you. I have an additional question for you, Katie. If this is denied, would it be possible for the applicant to just do this project, just to remain in the town of Madera and do this project in absence of,
I'll take a little bit of that. So I did talk to their engineer about this project because they first came in and they were discussing leaving it in the township and trying to do a project. And I stated the biggest thing that will hinder their project being in the township is the sanitary sewer service, because they'll have to put in a septic system. And they'll have to have a secondary septic system site, which will take up land for that. So I think they've got constraints where it would be very difficult to probably develop it in the township. Just a variety of things.
well, I was just wondering if we might end up with a worst case scenario where we have a lot of set requirements, much higher level of requirements than the town were to have. And that if we didn't annex it and they still went ahead, the neighbors might be in a worse position. Jared?
Katie, can we refer this for 30 days till next meeting? I mean, because if we deny it, then they've got to reapply again and pay the application fees and everything.
If the plan commission voted to deny it and the common council agreed and voted to deny it, the applicant would have to wait at least 1 year before being allowed to petition again. Answer that question. And then looking at the AutoZone property, that was required to have a screening, a wall or buffer. It was up to the applicant during the site plan review process. It did not require plan commission or common council action. Currently looking into the other one as we're talking.
Okay, so we have to be careful what we decide to do here is kind of the point, I think. Okay, go ahead, Mike.
Based on the size of the parcel, where the land is, the development is, for it to hold up to all of our standards, it's going to be 40 feet from the property line. There's no chance it could be a further distance. Is that correct?
I do not believe so, but again, this is a conceptual site plan. It's possible that the building could shift, but from our discussions with the property owner, it seemed to be this is where they were looking to have it installed. It may shift some, but not more notably.
The current building is 40 feet.
Know where the proposed
Okay.
structure is going to be. It's also noteworthy that the two other parcels that were mentioned are much deeper and larger than this particular property. This property is more narrow as opposed to wide. So having the same buffers that exist for those other properties wouldn't allow the property to even be constructed.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Eric, go ahead.
Thank you. Katie, another procedural thing for me. So the comprehensive plan, when it says that we must consider economic impacts, social and environmental, something I think many of us have spoken to, whose burden is it to provide that data for us to consider? Is that the applicant? Is that the city?
The applicant provides the information and then the city reviews it. The other items that were read into the record were more related to the actual what the city code says for annexation petition as opposed to what the comprehensive plan says. And they are supposed to work in tandem with each other.
So did the applicant provide any of that information for the city to consider?
You've been provided all the information I've received.
Very well. Is it also an option to refer, as Jared said? Is that one of the things on the table tonight to do?
If the plan commission wanted, they could refer it. to the next plan commission meeting. That's always an option.
Okay, thank you. It's telling to me Katie's answer about providing material for us to consider.
Okay, Tom Smith?
Yeah, I would just gonna refer back to the original applicant saying if there are ways that they could redesign that building to be further away from the residential area. Like you said, I know it's a narrow thing, but an auto body shop's pretty noisy. I can tell you that. So when they're working on cars and things like that, it can be pretty noisy. So 40 feet from a residential area is, you're gonna hear it. So if there's a way that they can redesign it, and maybe there isn't, but is there a way that we could go back to them and see if there's any way they could redesign it to be facing another way? Or, I mean, I think it's worth asking to see if there's a way that they can move it away from a residential area or turn it or redesign it from what they're proposing. It's just a thought, but I think that the concerns are very strong. That's my thought.
Okay, Eric?
I agree. I think for where I'm at right now is we have the materials that they provided to us. And so my thought is, at least for me, is I have what they were willing to provide, and I'm going to base my decision based on that versus maybe what we hope they can ultimately provide. My thought is we have spelled clearly for us the impacts, and I don't think anything's been provided to address any of them. In the absence of that, just for me, the criteria for the decision haven't been met.
Okay, I guess if the commission does want to refer this to the next meeting, we have a motion on the floor. What is the best procedural way to do that, if that is what the commission chooses to do? We'll go to Rick Niemeyer, our city administrator, is here to guide us.
Certainly, just based on past experience, you can do a motion to postpone to a date certain. So-
Well, this motion is still on the floor, though. Okay.
Correct. Yep, you can do that as long as you and put in there the specific date of the next meeting, so we know exactly when it is. And then it can be put on the agenda for the next meeting.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Katie?
Just to note that the minimum rear yard setback is what this would likely follow in the B3 district is 10 feet for the building. So that is the closest that it could be to the rear yard.
And 5 foot for the parking lot or the drive lane.
In case you're interested, the next plan commission meeting is scheduled for June 25th.
So do we need to vote on this before we make a
No.
motion to refer it or postpone it, or?
No, he said you can leave that motion on the floor and defer the vote or the discussion and the voting to the next meeting.
Okay.
If that's what you choose to do. Just
Yeah,
trying to
Let's
help.
do that.
Any other discussion?
Rick, if I don't want to defer, I'm going to vote no on the option to defer then. Is that correct? How this would be procedurally? I don't want to defer. I want.
If no one makes a motion to postpone it to a date certain, then you would move forward with the. current
Then we'll
motion.
take the vote.
Okay, very well. Thank you.
I'll make a motion to defer it
To,
to the next,
which is June 25th.
to June 25th.
I'll second that motion.
Oops. Okay, I've got a motion on the floor by Tom Smith. It's been seconded by Jan Brock, sorry, to defer this to our June 25th Plan Commission meeting. Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no.
No.
So the vote is 4-1, and we will defer it to our June 25th meeting. Okay. June 25th. Oh, it was 5-1. Oh, I get a vote. Oh, I'm sorry. I was in favor. Okay, 5-1. Thank you. Well, that's why I say it out loud, so you can correct me if I mess up. All right, and thank you all for coming in tonight. We appreciate your input. Item 6, public hearing for a planned commercial industrial district, PCID major amendment application filed by the Samuels Group on behalf of Grease Lightning to facilitate the construction of a 697 square foot addition to the Grease Lightning business located at 1240 Crossing Meadow Drive. This is tax parcel ID number 3292-2. The applicant is the Samuels Group and Grease Lightning. Would anyone like to speak in favor of this planned commercial industrial district? Katie's online. Katie Devine, did you want to say anything in favor? You're muted. There you go.
No, we also have Henry, who's with us from the Samuels Group. We're just here to answer any questions, if you guys had any questions at all about the development.
Okay, thank you very
Yep.
much.
So if there's any questions, let us know.
Will do. Okay, would anyone like to speak in favor? Second call for anyone wishing to speak in favor. Third or final call for anyone wishing to speak in favor of this planned commercial industrial district. That portion of the hearing is now closed, and I'll ask if anyone would like to speak against this planned commercial industrial district. Second call for anyone wishing to speak against. Third and final call for anyone wishing to speak against this project. The public hearing is now closed, and I'll ask Katie Aspenson to introduce this item to the Plan Commission.
Thank you, Mayor. The property in question is within our comprehensive plans area of a commercial district, again, intended to accommodate large and small scale commercial and office development, including a wide range of retail, service, lodging, and office uses. Grease Lightning is intending to construct a 697 square foot addition, as well as interior remodel efforts to the existing facility to make additional site improvements, including driveway widenings and landscaping. The facility will add a new service bay, bringing a total of 3, and provide new office and storage space. The site will be brought into compliance for lighting, landscaping, and parking as part of the site plan review process. The purpose of the PCAD amendment request is to accommodate the increase in density via the proposed density as required by the UDC. Included in the packet is the application, a cover letter, and a site plan. City staff have put together a total of 6 conditions of approval for this development. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie. Okay, what is the pleasure of the commission?
I'll make a motion to approve the planned commercial industrial group major amendment application filed by the Samuels Group on behalf of Grease Lightning to facilitate the construction of a 697 square foot addition to the Grease Lightning business located at 1240 Crossing Meadow Drive, which is tax parcel 18-3292-2, with the 6 conditions as outlined in agenda item 6.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor by Eric Archer. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mike Milky. The motion on the floor is to approve is with the 6 conditions. Is there further discussion? Not seeing or hearing any. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. And I myself will abstain on this vote. And so the motion passes with the 6 conditions. Item 7. Public hearing for general development plan application to create a planned unit development to facilitate the proposed redevelopment of the community center project, including construction of the new facility, parking lots with additional site improvements, and request deviations from the Unified Development Code to reduce the minimum off-street parking required for a public indoor recreational facility and a municipal, social, cultural, or recreational facility, and reduce the street yard setbacks located at 515 Quincy Street and 504 Monica Lane and 514 Monica Lane and 704 6th Avenue North. Is there anyone, these are tax parcel ID numbers 18-822-1 and 18-822-1. The applicant is the City of Onalaska. Would anyone like to speak in favor of this general development plan?
Thank you, Mayor and Plan Commission members. Dan Wick, 415 Main Street, the Park and Rec Director here with the city. Tonight before you have our application for the community center project, making a couple of requests. One with parking and 2 with the site setbacks on the site. We are trying to maintain the athletic complex that we have at this field, so we're working with it. I will note from a parking standpoint, we are doubling the size of the current parking lot that we have on site by taking it on both locations. But I myself am here to answer any questions. We do have Ryan Wilkie with ISG that's assisting the city on this project. If the commission has any questions.
Thank you, sir. Would anyone like to speak in favor of this general development plan? Second call for anyone wishing to speak in favor. Third and final call for anyone wishing to speak in favor. That portion of the public hearing is now closed, and I'll ask if anyone would like to speak against the general development plan. Second call for anyone wishing to speak against. Third and final call for anyone wishing to speak against this plan. Okay, the public hearing is now closed, and I'll ask Katie Aspenson to introduce this topic to the Plan Commission this evening. Katie?
Thank you, Mayor. The City of Onalaska plans to redevelop Community Park and construct a new 16,184 square foot community center, including parking lots, additional site improvements. The PUD request is to allow for 2 reductions to the Unified Development Code pertaining to reducing the minimum number of off-street parking that's required for a public indoor recreational facility and a municipal social cultural recreational facility, as well as reducing street yard setbacks for the new facility. Included in the packet is the plan set, a cover letter describing the applicant, describing the requested deviations. The permitted uses, density, PUD perimeter, lot area, building height, environmental design, open space, architecture, streets, utilities, drainage, traffic calming design, circulation and access, landscaping and signage, all conform to the city's Unified Development Code, and there are no requested deviations. To speak to the deviation request, in particular is item number 4, yard setbacks. Our site dimension standards table requires a 20-foot street yard setback for buildings in the P1 district. The city requests to reduce the setback along 6th Avenue North for a portion of the structure down to 2 feet for 16.5 foot of the structure, 4.35 foot setback for 13 feet of the structure, and 13-foot setback for 57.5 feet of the structure. In total, 87 foot of the 152-foot long structure is proposed to be in the 20-foot setback area. As stated, the primary need for the setback is to accommodate the new entrance to the facility. The proposed structure actually exceeds the 20-foot rear yard street yard setback along Quincy Street. City staff are in support of the request for the reduced street yard setback, as approximately only 5.5% of the total structure is within the setback area along 16th Avenue North, and the remaining portion of the building meets the required setback. The building's location is meant to be located as far from baseball fields and the remainder of the athletic facility that we have there as possible, necessitating the need for a reduced setback. The other item of reduction is regarding parking. There are 2 principal uses serving this facility: public indoor recreational and also municipal social cultural recreational facility. Today, there are existing 30 parking stalls. The total proposed parking by the city is 65 stalls to serve the overall development compared to the 87 required stalls. The city is proposing to increase the parking lot serving community center from 30 to 44 stalls on the subject parcel itself, as well as construct a new parking lot on the parcel east of the community center with an additional 21 new stalls. The proposed parking today, as shown, can accommodate the gymnasium and the community center activities separately if they're occurring with additional parking available. The city is proposing to meet approximately 75% of the required amount of parking, as the requirement is assuming that the recreational facility and the gymnasium would both be at maximum capacity at all times whenever the public facility is open to the public, which is not to be expected. City staff are in support of the request for reduced parking, as the city is proposing more than double what exists today. The site is generally built out to retain space for existing outdoor facilities such as the batting cages, baseball fields, playground equipment, and a future all abilities park. So there is limited availability for new service parking on the parcel in question. City staff have put together a total of 13 conditions of approval for this development. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Katie. With that said, I will turn it over to the Plan Commission. What is your pleasure?
Make a motion to approve the general development plan application to create a planned unit development to facilitate the proposed redevelopment of the community center project, including construction of a new facility, parking lots, with additional site improvements and request deviations from the Unified Development Code to reduce minimum off-street parking required for a public indoor recreational facility and a municipal, social, cultural, or recreational facility, and reduce street yard setbacks located at 515 Quincy Street, 504 Monica Lane, 514 Monica Lane, 704 Sixth Avenue North, which are tax parcels 18-822-1 and 18-22-1 with the 13 conditions as outlined in agenda item 7.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Did you include the conditions, Eric? Okay, I'm sorry. Motion on the floor by Eric Archer. It's been seconded by Tom Smith. Is there any further discussion? Jan?
This would just be a fabulous improvement for our community. Thank you.
Nope. Any other discussion?
I just want to share gratitude again for the depth of analysis in these prep documents. You know, something like the setback being 2 feet would immediately stimulate concern, and the answers are already provided within. So these documents continue to be very helpful. Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion? So the motion on the floor is to approve with the conditions as stated. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. That brings us to item 8, the final implementation plan application to create a planned unit development to facilitate the proposed redevelopment of the community center project, including construction of the new facility, parking lots with additional site improvements, and requested deviations from the Unified Development Code to reduce minimum off-street parking required for a public indoor recreation facility and a municipal, social, cultural, or recreational facility, and reduce the street yard setbacks located at 515 Main Street, 504 Monica Lane, 514 Monica Lane, 704 Sixth Avenue North. Again, these are tax parcel ID numbers 18-822-1 and 18-822-1, and the applicant is the City of Onalaska. Katie?
Thank you. The second part of the creation of a planned unit development is the final implementation plan, which you have before you this evening. I will not go back into rereading the staff report for you, describing the reasoning and staff's opinion on the 2 requested deviations that city staff are in full support of. There are a total of 12 conditions of approval tied to the final implementation plan. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Katie. What is the pleasure of the commission?
I'll make a motion to approve the planned unit development PUD to facilitate the proposed redevelopment of the community center project, including construction of a new facility, parking lots with additional site improvements, and request deviations from the Unified Development Code to reduce the minimum off-street parking required for public indoor recreational facility and municipal, social, cultural, or recreational facility, and reduce street yard setbacks located at 515 Quincy Street, 504 Monica Lane, and 514 Monica Lane, as well as 704 Sixth Avenue North, with the 12 admissions for approval. And these are tax parcel IDs number 18-822-1, 18-822-1.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor by Mike Milky. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Tom Smith. Is there discussion? Okay, not seeing or hearing any. The motion on the floor is to approve this final implementation plan with the 12 conditions. The motion on the floor is to approve. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item 9 is Resolution 19-2024 to temporarily suspend enforcement of 19.02.19 of the City of Onalaska Code of Ordinances related to temporary signs. That resolution is in our packet. Katie, would you like to introduce the item?
Thank you, Mayor. The City of Onalaska, in particular, myself and our legal counsel are requesting the resolution before you today to temporarily suspend the enforcement of temporary signs in the City of Onalaska until the Common Council meeting on November 12th, 2024. The purpose for this moratorium of suspending enforcement is to allow city staff the ability to do research and rewrite our temporary sign enforcement code. As stated in the resolution, it was completely rewritten approximately 10 years ago due to federal case law. And we made sweeping changes to our temporary sign provisions, which some has been successful and others have not been as successful. For example, we attempted to think of all the different ways one would need temporary signage on their property, such as, oh, my house is for sale, or my business is for sale, or my business is for lease. And you'd need to be able to enforce those. That's where the problem comes in. You talk to a business owner and they may say that my business is for sale every single day. I just haven't gotten the right offer yet. So does it actually have to be for sale? And then the staff time to go in and looking for homes and how long they've been, are they listed? Are they not listed? By creating so many opportunities for people to have temporary signage, we created a conundrum in terms of enforcement. So we are asking for this time so that we can write a new and better temporary sign code. However, we do know that the purpose of a lot of our temporary sign code is for making sure that the public is kept safe when driving, because they can be very distracting. So if there is to be such a violation that has an adverse impact on health, safety, or the welfare of the general public, the city could step in and ask for removal of a sign if that was needed. But it's our intent to focus our time and effort on drafting a new code. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Katie. Okay, with that, I'll turn it over to the commission.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 19-2024, which temporarily suspends enforcement of 14.02.19 of the City of Onalaska Code of Ordinances related to temporary signs until November 12th, 2024.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor by Eric Archer to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been seconded by Mike Milky. Is there any discussion? Jan?
I just have a couple of questions. One, is there a, when you say temporarily suspend, is there a time frame on that? And the second question is, say I want to put my house up for sale, I can still put a sign in the front that my home is for sale, right?
There is an end date. I believe it was November
The council meeting.
of
yeah.
2024. So it will end on that date and we will continue to go back to enforcing a new code instead of the code that we have in place today. We're going to enforce a new code on, say, December 13th or November 13th. We would have a new code in effect by then. And then, yes, this does not prohibit people from installing temporary signs. We will still be letting people know what it is that they can and cannot do if they call and ask questions. It's more on the actual enforcement of if they're doing it incorrectly.
Okay, any other questions or comments or discussion? Okay, I don't see any. So the motion on the floor is to approve resolution 19-2024. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item 10 is a routine change, I guess we could say. Upon review of the ordinances, it was determined that this committee have a vice chair, which it has not had historically in the past. So at this, do you want to add anything to that, Rick, or anybody? No? Okay. So at this time, I would like to open the floor for nominations for a vice chair for this committee.
Nominate Mike.
Okay, Mike, do you accept the nomination?
Yeah.
Okay. Are there any other So what we'll do is I'll accept nominations until there are there aren't any more nominations, and then we will just each vote on the candidates. So are there any other nominations? No more nominations. Okay. All those in favor of Mike Milky as the vice chair of this committee, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations, sir. Item 11, modification to the Plan Commission meeting time. We're having as another routine item, discussion on meeting times. So this is the opportunity if you would like to have the meeting time changed. I'm opening it up for discussion. Anybody? Katie?
Just to note, it would only be the time we would continue to have planned on the fourth Tuesday of every month. So just as a side note.
Okay. It would still be on this day, but we could have it at a different time if we so choose. Okay, so nobody wants to have a discussion on changing the time. Is that what I'm hearing?
I mean,
So I understand that to mean that we'll validate the time and continue with the time we already have unless we need to change it as determined by us here.
Yeah, you could, what we've done with almost all of our other meetings is move them to earlier in the evening. But we don't have to. It's entirely up to the commission. We're just having an opportunity to discuss that. And if everybody were to agree, we could change the meeting time.
A good data
Start
point,
time in them. Go ahead, Eric.
a good data point for me, Katie, is what works best for city staff on Tuesdays.
Earlier is always better.
Yeah. Yeah, city, I've gotten feedback
with
from
six?
a lot of city staff and their preferences. Earlier is better, but understanding we have to meet our own schedules too, so. Okay, so Tom is putting out a suggestion of 6.
Get you out of here earlier. Does that work?
My tap class, my little old lady's tap class till 4. 6 is doable.
Okay.
Okay, everybody can do
It's 7.
6.
I'm just throwing out.
Okay, so you want to do a motion to go to 6?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to go to 6. If everyone, I'll try it.
Okay, is there a second?
second,
Okay, we have a motion and a second to move the meeting start time to 6 PM. Will continue to be on the 4th Tuesday of the month. Is there any other discussion? Okay, Jan?
But Stacy, could you send us a notification next month that whenever this starts, that remind us it's 6 o'clock, or
Yeah, it'd be.
some of us will get here late?
We gotta
Okay.
live with.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, all right. So is there any other discussion? We're going to get a reminder. All right, all those in favor of moving it up an hour to 6 PM, please say aye.
Aye.
Is anyone opposed? Okay, time has changed. Item 12. Yep. Mike. Tom Smith made it, Mike seconded. We can't
Is that
call on people.
is that starting next meeting then?
Yes.
Okay.
June meeting. June.
We should probably make sure we let the people know
Yep.
that we're opposing that as well.
Sure, it'll be posted on the city website too. Okay, item 12, adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor by Eric Archer. It's been seconded by Jared Holter that we shall all adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. The time is 8:07. Thank you for coming in.